God aften og velkommen til den 11. time. Min gæst i aften er her ikke alene. Ude i skyggerne sidder hans statsansatte bodyguards, som er med til at bevogte og beskytte ham 24 timer i døgnet. Han overnatter på militærbaser, i sikkerhedshus og i fængsler og lever et liv i konstant frygt. Sådan har det været siden september 2004, hvor han pådrog sig den muslimske verdens vrede. Lige nu sidder det meste af jordens befolkning på nåle for at se, hvad der sker, når han offentliggør sin 15 minutter lange film om Koranen. Jeg taler naturligvis om den hollandske politiker Geert Wilders. Evening, Mr. Wilders. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Are you familiar? Do you have the expression in the 11th hour in the Dutch language?
At 11 uur, yes. We have a program on Dutch public TV as well, which is called At 11 uur.
Yes.
By some religious broadcasting company. So we have it as well.
Is it about Islam or Christianity?
No, well, it's a Protestant television station who is broadcasting the 11th hour, so it's mostly connected to Christianity, but not only that, also issues that are in the news in the Netherlands at that day, once a week.
Yes. Of course, this is not a religious program.
I know.
But the expression the 11th hour has to do with, making it in the 11th hour before you run out of time. And one could say that you are living in the 11th hour.
Well, I think the Western society as a whole is more or less living in the 11th hour. I believe it's a few minutes to 12, actually, when it comes to the threat that the growing Islamization of the Western societies, my country, Denmark, other Western societies, is facing today. It's a major threat to our freedom. And my party, which is called the Party for Freedom, is really into fighting to preserve our values, our constitution, our freedom, our respect. And we believe that the growing Islamization of our continent, of the West, indeed is a threat to everything I just mentioned. So, indeed, we are a few minutes to 12. It's not only the 11th hour, it's the 12th hour.
Yes. I was thinking that since we cannot really talk about your movie in depth, we should do something else. And as I view it, the whole conflict between you and us and the Muslim world has a lot to do with emotions, religious emotions and so on. A lot of people are accusing you of being confrontational, unnecessarily aggressive. And I would like to do a bit of popular science, a test. Scientists have a way to measure people's empathy. You can do an empathy test to get your EQ. And I would like to do this test with you. On the other hand, you told me you don't like tests.
Now, I have had too many tests in my life, and just an answer and a question is sometimes too easy to show a context of what you're really saying, especially when you talk about such a serious problem.
Yes.
As the Islamization is, which is not only about empathy and emotions, it's unfortunately about facts that are written in the Quran, that once again is a book of hatred,
yes,
submission and lack of freedom to our societies, but let's try.
But tonight it's about emotions. And if we can't, the test has a lot of questions, we can't, finish it. There will be a link on our webpage, drdk/11, if people want to do the test themselves or you want to finish it. I did the test this morning and I scored an EQ of 41.
Is that good?
Maximum is 80. That will make you very emotional, very empathetic.
Okay.
So I would say I'm lukewarm empathetic.
Okay.
Right in the middle.
Okay.
All tests should start out with the person being tested. He should state how old he or she is.
I'm 44.
44.
44.
And your full name is Geert Wilders?
Yes, Geert Wilders, actually.
Geert Wilders.
I'm
working on my Dutch.
Dutch.
The first question, you can answer that you either agree totally, that you agree slightly, that you disagree slightly, or that you disagree totally. 4 options. My first question would be, I'm pretty good to detecting what other people want to talk to me about.
Slightly, yes.
Slightly.
I agree.
I prefer animals to humans.
No.
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 That is a totally disagree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up with the trends and fashions of today.
Not really, no. Let's say slightly no.
But you really have your own style.
I have my own style, but it's not something that I'm thinking about every day or even every part of the day. So I have my own style, but it's not something that is on the top of my agenda. So I would say slightly no.
But I was, because you appear to be just like Pim Fortuyn, you appear to be a kind of a dress man.
Well, I don't know if I'm a dress man, and Pim Fortuyn was bald and I'm not. So actually you look more like Pim Fortuyn than I do. But well, I'm not a real dress man. I wear suits and I wear ties with a straight color difference all the time, but I'm not too much involved with it on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, let's continue. This is a kind of a tricky question. I think it's difficult to explain other people something which I myself find easy to understand, especially if they don't get it the first time.
No, I slightly disagree. I think if you really make an effort, it's possible to get people understand really the contents of your arguments and what you mean. Something different is, of course, that they agree with you. But I always say I rather have that somebody doesn't agree with me than that somebody doesn't understand what I'm saying. And I'm quite often a person who is quite straight up, both in Parliament and outside Parliament. I'm often criticized by it, but a lot of people well, really find it okay that there is a politician, and my political group in Parliament, we all share this kind of attitude. Just to say, if something is wrong, if a minister is crazy, just say it, both on the positive side and at a negative side. So
you're what they call a straight shooter.
A straight shooter, yes. You have to talk in a way that not only the politicians and the bureaucrats understand it, but that just the common citizens
understand. Do you think the Muslims are understanding what you're saying?
They are understanding it quite well, yes. Sometimes, unfortunately, but this time I think it's good. Yeah.
Good. I dream most of the nights.
I almost never dream.
You never dream?
Not when I'm sleeping. Sometimes when I'm awake, I dream about some kind of political future or the future of the Netherlands to be improved in certain ways with lower taxes or less Islamization or the better healthcare for the elderly in the Netherlands. So those are more political dreams that I try to realize. But when I'm sleeping, I assume you're talking about when I'm asleep.
Yes.
I can't remember the last dream I had, so this must be a long time ago.
But when you are dreaming, are you in the situation that you are in now?
No, I don't think so. But really, my honest answer is that I really cannot remember the last time I dreamt.
I really love to care for other people.
Sure, I highly agree. I do care for the people, as I do care for my country, the Netherlands, and I wanted the Netherlands to improve, to people to have a better life in all aspects when it comes to fighting crime.
But I think this question has more to do with close human relations, you know, your friends, family.
Well, the same goes for that,
yes.
Sure. Yeah.
I think sometimes it's difficult for me to know what to do in a social situation.
Slightly, yes. I have to admit, I'm an individualist, but still I always manage. I'm a political leader of a party that now holds in the polls 10% of the Dutch vote. So fortunately I know how to contact people, how to get to talk to people and things like that. But it's not my first nature. I have to admit that, so probably that will cost me some points on your EQ list.
Normally men score lower than women, so...
Okay.
I function best early in the morning.
No, this is totally untrue.
You totally disagree?
Yes. Actually, I really am at my best. It doesn't really matter what time it is. I'm at my best when I have a lot of things to do, when there is some pressure, when there is a lot of amount of work to be done. So if I'm busy, It doesn't really matter if it's in the morning or in the evening. I'm at my best.
So you should be at your best now, basically.
Well, it's quite a relaxed interview, so...
no, but also your situation in general.
Well, of course...
Being under pressure and so on.
Yes, but with pressure I mean a lot of work to do and a lot of things to do for my country in Parliament with my colleagues of my political fraction. Of course, when it comes to threats and other kinds of pressure, I really wouldn't want to have that. So this pressure I can miss today.
Yes. It doesn't worry me very much if I'm going to meet a friend and I'm showing up late.
It does matter, yes. I really don't like people being late for appointments. I always am at time at my own appointments. So I ask the same from people I meet. I like to be a little bit strict on time, and not if you have an opinion, like for instance in the Italian or other cultures, to show up 2 hours later than planned. I don't like that at all.
Okay. So you...
Do you?
Me?
Yeah.
Timing is essential.
Exactly.
I would never break a law, no matter how unimportant it is.
Well, of course, this is ridiculous. Nobody can say yes, because everybody in his life drove through a red light or drove a little bit too hard in his car or whatever. So when it comes to these smaller things, I would say no. If I would say yes, I would be a liar. But when it comes to the more important crimes, I can say definitely yes. Of course, I try to do everything as a Democrat and a democratic elected politician, to do everything within the boundaries of the law. And if you don't like the law, it's good to be a parliamentarian, because then you can make proposals to change the law. So I try to really do everything, my utmost to do everything within the law. And if I don't like it, I try to get a majority in my parliament to change the law.
Should we say you slightly disagree?
You can say whatever you like.
My next question is, I'm living in the moment, in the now, as opposed to living in the future.
Well, I hope not, because.
But do you agree to this statement, or do you disagree?
No, I disagree. I don't know if it's realistic to disagree, because if you pose me this question, I immediately think on the circumstances I have to live in today, and I really would hope they would be different in the future.
The next question is, I prefer Laurel and Hardy comedy instead of verbal humor.
No, I disagree, totally disagree. I prefer verbal humor before Laurel and Hardy. Laurel and Hardy is nice, but...
So you're into telling jokes?
Well, more to listening to jokes. I'm not the person that really makes a joke every hour. Some colleagues of mine do, and it's really nice to hear that, but it's not something I do all the time. But I like to laugh, and I like to hear jokes.
Are you yourself, making fun of your own situation?
Yes, you have to do that. You have to relativize the situation you are in, because otherwise sometimes you would go insane or mad. So the best thing to do is, of course, take it seriously, because it's reality, but also to make it less important than it sometimes really is.
Can you give an example of this?
Order to, well, of course, I'm not joking about threats and death threats I get. It's something, unfortunately, very seriously. But you have to also put it into perspective at times in order to continue the work that you really believe should be done. And I'm really highly motivated to, once again, with my political party, Party for Freedom, to change a lot of things for the better in the Netherlands. And well, with this aim, you have to do it at times.
Yes. Yeah. The next question is what I think made me score low on the empathy index, or my EQ. When I was a child, I liked cutting up worms to see what would happen.
So you said yes?
I said yes.
No, I didn't do that.
Never?
No.
You were never cruel to insects, or?
Well, no. Indeed, when I was young, I was quite a nice guy. Some people think it changed after that. I don't agree with them, of course. But no, I don't remember cutting up insects or doing things like that, no.
Oh. So that is...
I'm gaining some points here, right?
Yeah, you're really gaining some points. I have pretty distinct, how should I phrase it? Pretty distinct attitudes in regards to moral behavior.
Well, it depends. When it comes to the rule of law and the morality that also goes together with the rule of law, I think, yes, I do. I think people should abide the law, and law is something like a sublimized morality in a democracy. When it comes to really the individual and the personal aspects of people thinking or doing something in their own home, it might be different, depending, of course, on what issue there is. So, in a way, yes, but I don't have to know everything that everybody's doing and having some kind of opinion about that.
So you slightly agree?
Something like that.
Yes. I'm pretty good at anticipating how other people will feel about me and things I say.
Yes, this is true. For the only reason that I don't know how it's in Denmark, but in Holland we have a lot of politicians who, if they speak for 10 minutes, nobody knows what they have said. Everybody is left in disarray and thinking about what was the message. I don't. My message is very clear. So I can most of the time predict that some people will like it and some people won't. And this is good. In a democracy you have to be straight, you have to get opposition, and let people themselves decide what is true and what is not true. So I try to do my best.
But isn't that what makes people, accuse you of being, a demagogue or a populist?
Well, I'm not a demagogue, because if the majority of the Dutch people would say we have to raise taxes or we should have more immigration, I would never subscribe to that. So of course there are limits, and the vox populi, what you call populism, is not something to be ashamed of. If it's within your principles, if it's within your ideology, and you will find a way within that to communicate with your electorate or other people in your country so they can understand and you will get a discussion, I think that kind of populism is more a compliment than anything else.
Yes. I'm not really affected about watching other people cry.
I am, of course. If I see other people cry, I want to know why, and I feel, I don't know if empathy is the word, or sympathy or whatsoever. Of course, it depends on why they are crying. If they are crying because they are sentenced for lifetime imprisonment for murder, I will not feel so much empathy. But if they lost somebody they love or something else, so the context really matters a lot. But I'm.
What if they're crying because of something which you did or said?
Well, it depends on what I said. If I went too far, I will tell them that I was wrong. If I was not, but they disagree, I wouldn't change my tune for 1 inch.
People often tell me that I'm very unpredictable.
No, I got a lot of criticism, but I haven't heard that one so far. So I don't think I'm very unpredictable to a lot of people. They know. Once again, because I'm a politician, whether you agree with me or not agree with me, like all my 8 fraction companions in Parliament, we know and we are very clear in what we believe. So I don't think this is the biggest problem.
Good. I can't always, see why somebody should feel offended about a remark or statement from me.
Well, it's once again, also very hard to say, because sometimes it's hard to see, sometimes it's easy to see, but still, I don't care. It depends on what it is. Once again, if you overstep the line when it comes to the law or anything else, it's understandable, but I believe I've never done that. At least I never got into trouble for it. But if somebody is offended by something that, is just an opinion, like people who were offended all over the world with the Danish cartoons. I believe cartoons possible within the Danish law and within the Danish values, freedom of speech. It is not something that you can be responsible for or that you should anticipate on. You should use it in every vast and thorough and clear way, their freedom of expression. So again, it depends on what issue it goes for.
My friends talk to me about their problems because they say I'm a very caring and understanding human being.
No, I am. I hope, but it's not that my friends come to me to tell them their problems. I'm not because I'm not a person who would listen to that, but because in this stage of my life, I'm working 18, 19 hours a week, so I'm a very lucky guy to have an evening with my wife, family in the weekend. So at this time, it's not the case that I have too many meetings with too many friends. So it's very hard to say agree or disagree, because I think if I would have the time, perhaps they would do it, but since I don't have the time, it's not realistic.
When was the last time that you were spending some time with your wife and family?
I think it's a week or 10 days ago, something like that.
And do you know when we will see them again?
At Easter.
At Easter?
So next week.
If I notice a stranger in a group, I think the person has to do an effort himself or herself to get into the community.
Well, it depends. It's up to the person in a way. When it's a group of friends or persons, it depends. When it's, if you, for instance, see the Dutch society as a group and people from abroad, I'm not talking about tourists, but immigrants are coming, I think they should surely, definitely 100% do that and try to assimilate and integrate in the Dutch or Danish society.
I'm pretty good at knowing if somebody is interested or bored about what I'm saying.
I think we already had that one, no?
Something like that. We can skip that one. I have a nice one here. Yes, I often start new hobbies, but then I begin to feel bored about it, and then I move on to something else.
Now, once again, I have very little time for hobbies, but in the past this is true. When I had more time, I tried a lot of things. And after,
what kind of hobbies were you into?
Well, sports, for instance. I need to sport a lot more, going to the gym, like a hobby. But I tried, and then I didn't go too many times. Well, several things.
But what about real distinct hobbies like fencing or playing bridge or collecting stamps?
No.
No?
I haven't done that, no.
I'm not into taking chances.
Well, this I have to say is totally disagreeing, fully disagreeing, because I believe you should take chances, not only in politics but also in your life. If you play for safe, it means often that you don't take any risk, that the situation surrounding you or in your country or in your family will not change. And I believe a lot in the Netherlands has to be improved with all different issues. And then you have to take a risk. You have to change. I mean, not everybody's doing it. I'm not blaming people who don't, but there should be some amount of people who are willing or sacrificing certain risk to be made. And I hope I'm one of them.
Other people often say about me that I'm not a sensitive person, but it's difficult for me to see why.
Well, it depends. People who don't know me often say it, but people who know me wouldn't say that at all. So,
why?
Well, people who know me know that this is not true, but people who only see me sometimes from TV or things like that sometimes have a different opinion from the images and the impact it has. Don't forget, in the Netherlands, the issues I'm talking about are often serious issues. I'm talking about, well, for instance, the Islamization and the stopping of building mosques, or the immigration, or the fighting crime, or Moroccan youth throwing gays every week in the water, or beating them up. Well, this is a message, if you want to stand up for the Dutch gays and for our moderate society, then you don't do it with a laugh and smile on your face. So it's often connected to the message and the subject you're talking about, which of course is not, in my case, not always funny subjects. Yes. People say, what a funny guy, and it shouldn't be like that.
So your reply would be that you disagree? If the context is your close friends, yes. I would be too nervous a guy to try the big roller coaster in the Tivoli Gardens.
I don't know the big roller coaster in the Tivoli Gardens, so I first would have to see...
Do you have a big roller coaster somewhere in the Netherlands?
Well, I would not be the first one to do it, but I would not... At the end of the day, I would try it. Yes, yes.
I would often, as a rule, recognize the point of view of other people, also, even if I'm not, even if I disagree with it.
Well, it depends on your definition of recognize.
What would your definition be?
Well, it's your question. I don't know what you mean.
I would say that you accept it as a point of view, as an argument that you're willing to debate.
Of course. I mean, I'm a Democrat, and I want people to be able to choose. I would never want my party. I hope we will be even more successful than we are today. But it wouldn't be healthy for any party, and also not my party, to have a majority in parliament. You also will need checks and balances and discussion and debates. And I often initiate in the Dutch parliament, or my colleagues initiate debates every week again. So, especially when you disagree with it. If you have a disagreeable appointment, then have a debate and try not only to convince the other, but to also tell the public what the better opinion according to you is, if you disagree with that. Yeah. So of course I would acknowledge it, but I would also fight it. Yes. I would fight it in the most tough but democratic way to show people that that opinion is totally wrong and that the opinion of my party is the right one.
Yes. We can't finish the test, but my feeling is that you are actually a fairly empathetic guy.
Okay, more than you?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
It's time for you to say goodnight to the viewers of the 11th hour.
Okay.
You will be using that camera.
Well, I would like to thank all the viewers of the 11th hour to watch this program. I hope you have learned some more about me. And perhaps my last words would be that I'm very proud not only to be in Denmark, but also proud of the Danish public. You are a strong people, and if I compare your attitude and the attitude of your government when it comes to the crisis, unfortunately starting again about the cartoons, I wish in the Netherlands we had such a brave countrymen, but especially such a brave government. So I applaud you for that, and for myself I will do my fight against the coming Islamism in the Netherlands. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again. Thank you.